What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, everybody? Ali Mehdaoui in here at the ME Studios live with the ME Show, and I have a host. Man, oh man, I am super, super excited. This gentleman has a career not only in sales, not only in business development, not only he is a man of faith, a man of family, that I am going to do everything in my power to get as many golden nuggets from him as possible. But at the same exact time, he is developing applications. He's working with entrepreneurs. He's creating solutions all day, every day for those who desire to have a better lifestyle from a business professional, and even for those who want to become better human beings overall. So I am super, super excited. I had the privilege and the opportunity to meet and collaborate with him since 2019. We've been on and off, but this is the very first time we have him here at the ME Studios in Edentown, New Jersey. You already know we keep busy, and you want to stick with us all the way to the end, as we're going to be giving away some fun surprises. So make sure you subscribe wherever you're watching from. Make sure you hit that follow, and definitely, if you are driving, do not touch your phone. I care about you alive more than you are a listener. All right, with that, first and foremost, Mr. John White is in the building. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to have this interview with you. Long day for you, but I believe it's a productive one.
Yes.
Indeed, indeed. All right, first and foremost, a lot of time people hear the accolades, they hear the introductions, they hear the backgrounds, and they don't understand that there's a story behind the story. Tell us a little bit from an academic / professional, where did it all begin? I got the fun story that we worked out earlier, but I'd love to hear for our listeners a little bit about, how did we get to this point from, school? Was there formal education? Was there higher education? Were there phases in your development? Tell us a little bit about that story.
Well, that's a great question, and it goes a long way back. I basically started out not desiring to go to school. I had thought that, I made a little bit of money as a kid, so I said, I just want to go out there and make money so I can enjoy life. When I saw my dad coming home with, cars that I liked and, taking me on trips, I said, I just have to get out there.
It tickles the brain a little bit on maybe I don't need this school thing.
Yeah. And, so I decided not to pursue school, even though my dad was saying, hey, you can go to any school you want. And when I was a kid, I wanted to be a chef. And so I said, okay, what is it going to take? He said, well, you do well in school and we'll get you in the best school for being a chef.
Interesting.
And talked about it in Hyde Park, New York. And for a long time, we talked about that. But then life happens. My mom and dad, had their differences and they split up. And so that kind of dwindled that dream. And I decided, okay, let me just get to work and figure this thing out. And from a young age, I just went out, got a paper route, saw how big I could grow it. Got to a point where I was making a lot of money as a kid. And I said, okay, went to my dad. I said, hey, Dad, I got some money saved. Can you help me get a motorcycle? He says, well, I don't think you should start with a motorcycle, maybe a mini bike. I said, okay. So I had that desire. And he said, if you save some money, I'll match it. So I was the first kid on the block to get a little mini bike.
Nice.
And, so that started it out for me. Like, if you work hard, you can get nice things. And so that kind of, in my life, it stuck. Then I met a man who said that, where you are in life is going to be a combination of a few things. How hard you work, the people you surround yourself with, and the values you hold. And so I didn't have any clue about, he was talking about values, because I related everything to my mom and dad splitting. I thought, I don't know what you're talking about, values. But I know how to work hard. I'll figure that part out. And I can probably find some nice people that I can learn from. So just working, I was, like a kid, started out with the paper route and then went to down to Texas with my stepdad's invitation, and started working in the insulation business. And there was a lot of money. The problem was, in Texas in the summer, it was 145 degrees in the attics. And
it's easy to get that paycheck until you get to do the work.
Yeah. So I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I can't do this forever. So they said, all right, you do this for a little while. We'll find a replacement and we'll let you do the insulation on the outside, where you drill holes in the house and then you put, the insulation in, and we'll show you how to do that. So I did that for a little while. But come to find out, Texas heat and humidity was hot no matter in the attic or just outside. I'm like, I'm not really enjoying this too much. So I decided while I was working, I was going to go to school at night to become a bartender. I said, I'm going to have some fun and make some money. And so that's what I did. I went to school, got my bartending license, and I went to work in clubs at night and serving, and I had a lot of fun.
Let me just tell you a few fun things that you may appreciate. You and I both started working very, very, very young in our lives. You and I both had our parents divorce and, follow stepdad. You and I both, I'm taking notes in here. You and I both worked in the restaurants and bartended at a very, very early age. You and I both had that moment of like, maybe I could just do this entrepreneurial solopreneur thing at an early age. No wonder you and I smile just by locking eyes. Like, I know you're a lost brother, right? Yeah. So go on. So the bar scene.
Fun time in my life. I was pretty young. I think I was in my early 20s, and hanging out at the pool with the pretty girls, and then working at night, having fun. I thought
Mrs. White, I do not condone that story. That was all him.
No, she knows that story. So, but it was a fun time in life. And then I got bribed by my dad. I said, he calls me up one day. He says, "Hey, listen, we haven't been close in a while, and so forth." He said, "I think it's time for you to settle down and get a real job." I'm like, "I have a real job. I make good money." I said, "I have my own place." He said, "No." He said, "I want to introduce you to the insurance business." I said, "Okay." So I said, how are we going to get together?" He says, "Well, I'll tell you what. If you agree, you're going to come to an insurance convention in San Francisco, and it's going to be a 2-day convention. We'll go through this convention, and then after that, we're going to have 4 days in Carmel and down in Southern California." And he says, "Matter of fact, the town of Carmel, the mayor at the time was Clint Eastwood." And I said,
"Wait, the actual actor was the mayor?"
"Yeah."
While he was an actor? I didn't know that.
Well, this was back in 1983.
So okay, I wasn't alive, respectfully. I wasn't alive yet, so that's why I have no idea. Okay, go on.
So I was told he was the mayor. So anyway, we never did get a chance to meet him, but we traveled up and down the coast. When we were young. We did everything together. He taught me how to race slot cars, and I excelled in that. I had trophies all over my bedroom. He taught me how to fish, and we had, caught fish together. And, so all those fun times, that's what drew me to say, okay, let's give Dad another chance, because, Mom built him up to be the bad guy, and we just kind of went our own ways. But, from that point on, I said, I'm enjoying life. I think I'll stay here for a little longer. And then finally he calls me back like 5 months later. He said, "I think it's time. You should give it a shot." So I said, okay. So I came back to New Jersey from Texas and studied to get my insurance licenses. And I was still working in the restaurant at night.
I got to ask, did you pass the insurance license right away, the first test?
I did.
Wow. I called him earlier One Shot John. We were shooting a bunch of reels. And usually when we put people in front of ring light, microphones, and all eyes are on you, I'm like, "Now talk about this." People freeze up. You were like, boom, 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 one and done. Next station. Yeah.
So it was wow. It was a lot of studying. I literally taught myself how to pass the test. Somebody recommended go through the test, write all the answers down, go back and see where you messed up, and then just study the answers. And I did that, and that's how I passed the test. And then so I did that for a few years. And I said, "Dad," I said, "this isn't working out." I says, "I'm really not getting this business." I said, "I'm tired. You're always yelling at me that I'm not interested in the business, but I'm just tired. I'm working till between 12 and 2 in the morning, working at night to pay my own bills because you weren't giving me any money while I was learning." And so, the end of the day, Dad taught me the value of hard work. And that's the thing, I think, from my dad teaching me the value of hard work that stuck with me. And he said he learned it from my Uncle Bart. He learned it from him. So, each and every step of the way, if you learn to serve and you just work hard at doing that, you'll be able to succeed no matter what you're doing. And nobody said it was going to be easy. You have to work hard.
Yeah.
But
No, I love that, and I appreciate the context, because again, a lot of time, and especially this new generation is not lazy. I know a lot of people are like, oh, this generation is so lazy. All they do is they play on their phone. No, it's not lazy. Unfortunately, they didn't have your dad as the role model with the equipment that he had, or the mindset that they did not have Uncle. What was your uncle's name?
Bart.
Uncle Bart. They didn't have an Uncle Bart. We talk about the Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. They didn't, that was the rich dad in your life, and thank God you had a dad that was actively pushing you to a path that was hard. Hard things make strong men. We've heard that before, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate that you've gone through that, figuring out that it became a very successful path, or was it just a phase of your life that morphed you into the skilled entrepreneur, business operator, the companies that you're working with and cultivating right now? Like, what was it like to transition and break through in the insurance space?
That's a great question.
I know I get paid for this.
I think that every experience that you go through in life, it's how you handle it. It's not what happens to you; it's how you handle it.
Yeah.
So in work, you have to find something that you like. Many of us, the insurance business was a process for me. It was learning how to work hard, because I had to still work to make money, but I was learning, trying to learn a new trade so that I can improve my life and do better. Sometimes things don't work out. You just got to say, okay, next. And so at that point, I got out of that business and I decided to work on cars. And the funny part about it is I really didn't decide that. It was all of a sudden, my wife and I had new jobs, and the company I was working for at the time was an office equipment company. And they told me they had a management position for me. I had to move here and so forth. And so I took the job, and within 6 months, they were out of business. So we sold our new cars, got rid of the car payments. And when you buy a used car, guess what? They break and they're not under warranty. So I had to learn how to fix them myself.
Nice.
And so the entrepreneur really...
This is before YouTube, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was no how do you fix.
Yeah, there was a book about this thick. It was the Chilton's Manual. And it would have different brands in there, and you go through there and you had to figure it out. And so I had to learn how to figure the things out in fixing cars to keep it on the road. And that's how I actually got started in the car business.
Interesting.
I'm buying junk, but most people, they're probably junk, but they were old cars that needed work. That's what my wife and I drove. And I said, hey, if I could fix a car for myself, maybe I can help some other people. So I started buying $100, $200, $300 car. I'd fix it up and sell it for $1,000, make a couple of bucks. And after a while, I figured out that there's no way I'm going to be able to work on all these different cars and make any money. So I said, I got to pick one that I can get good at. And so we picked Volkswagen Rabbits. And we picked Volkswagen Rabbits because where we were living at the time, two can fit in the driveway real easy, side by side, and because it was just an extra wide driveway. And then the funny thing in the neighborhood was the joke was the rabbits are multiplying, because I had 2, 4, 6 in the driveway, and I had 2 in the garage. So 2 in, 2 out, 2 in, 2 out. Guy hired me to be a manager for his massage table manufacturing business. And so I did that for...
Where is the book, y'all? Like, I want a book. Are you not entertained? Are you kidding me? This is great.
So he hired me to be a manager. I said, I have no idea about, these massage tables. He said, well, I'll teach you how to do it. I'll teach you. You're going to learn how to sew. You're going to learn how to put them together, and you're going to learn how to, talk to the manufacturers for the parts, because they were called super light tables. So I did that for a couple of years, and working on the cars at night, and just working day and night. And that's how we survived early on. And then eventually my dad said, you're killing yourself. Why don't you take a job in the car business? I said, I don't know, Dad. I said, I'm okay, I think where I'm at. He says, why don't you just go talk to somebody I know? So he introduced me to a general manager at a place over in Freehold. The guy's name was Terry, and he was the general manager. And he come into his office. He said, listen, he said, I know that you came in here because your dad knows me. He said, but trust me, you're not going to like me. I'm not going to do any favors for you. Either you can do the job or you can't. I said, fair enough. I said, as long as you can teach me, I know how to work hard. So he introduced me to the two sales managers, and immediately at that point, I had already given my life to the Lord. So I was serving God, and I wanted to do things the right way. And the manager said, listen, I said, I'm not going to do anything that's not right. I said, I'm going to treat other people the way I want to be treated and do the right thing.
So you broke that mold of, I'm not going to be another sales guy who just does or says anything just to get another sale.
Exactly.
Wow.
So I said, I'll tell you what, we'll make a deal. I said, we'll work together for 30 days.
You do it your way and I do it my way and see who sells more?
No, what I told them, similar, somewhat, I said, I'll do it my way. And if I can perform the way I say I can, as long as you teach me about the product, if you like me at the end of 30 days, I'll keep the job. And if I like you, I'll stay. So basically they let me do my own thing. I was new, green behind the first car I sold, they came and cut my tie. And so they're like, okay. They said, you better buy some ties if you're going to be any good at this. And then they were joking. No, we only cut the first tie.
I don't understand. I've seen videos about that. Tell me what's the idea behind it. Like, where did that come from? Do you have the story of it, or is it just a thing that they do in the car sales dealerships where?
Many years ago, I started, like I said, a lot of years ago in the car business, suit and tie. That was the dress. And then, so I did, so at that first month, so let me go back to that. That first month, I was the number one salesman. And they said, I don't care what you're doing, just keep doing it. So for 6 months now, I'm setting my sights on the next goal. The store I was working at had Honda, Volkswagen, and a big wall separating Mercedes-Benz. And I said, I want to go over there, sell Mercedes-Benz. They said, you have no experience. Those guys will never let you in. I'm like, well, who's the boss here, you or them? They said, well, we are. I said, well, make it happen.
Put me in the other side and watch.
Yeah. So they kept promising me, a little bit more time. We don't have the room for you over there. They don't sell enough cars. Somehow a guy found out that I wanted to sell Mercedes-Benz an hour north of where I lived. At the time, I lived in Bradley Beach. And he said...
Wait, what years did you live in Bradley Beach?
So I lived in Bradley Beach from 83 to 80, and then again from 2003 to 2008.
You ever been in Bradley Liquors?
Yeah.
Do you know that's my in-laws?
Yeah, you told me that story.
You've been there?
Yeah.
That's great. Our father-in-law just passed, unfortunately.
No.
Yeah, he passed 7-8 months ago. I'm wearing his shirts for those of you who usually wonder. So I said I like his son David. Love you, brother-in-law. He goes like, look, I don't wear these shirts. You're always doing business meetings. You got to take these shirts. So I was like, you know what? Every time you will see me in front of my cameras, I'm gonna have Tico shirts. We call him Tico. So we Tico's with us right now. So I appreciate you allowing me to have that moment. But that's interesting. Wow.
Yeah. So somebody found out that I wanted to sell Mercedes-Benz, and this fellow that I didn't really know that well. I was introduced to him because he worked for a guy who was my dad's best friend, and they were a car dealer, owners themselves over in Long Branch. And so anyway, he calls me. He said, hey, I heard you want to sell Mercedes-Benz. Is that true? I said, yeah. I said, well, they told me I don't have any experience, so I got to wait it out, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, how'd you like a shot? I said, well, I'll tell you, I would, but I'd like to talk about it first. And so he says, all right, you come up and see me. So I went up to see him, and it seemed like the longest drive. I'm like 69 miles away. This was in August. He said I was supposed to come up and start in September. He said, get here starting here September. Mercedes-Benz was introducing a brand new C-Class. He said, you're going to make the most money you ever made in your life selling cars, because when Mercedes comes out with a new product, you just literally take orders. Well, I was so dreading this 69-mile one-way drive, I put it off for a month. So I missed a bunch of orders. But anyway, I finally went up there in October of 1993. And it was the best decision I made, because that was the launch of my career with Mercedes-Benz. Most of my career was with Mercedes-Benz. The Mercedes guys, these guys are all like, who's this kid? What are you bringing a kid in here? He's never sold cars, hardly, no less Mercedes. Get it, we can't have him. He said, listen, I'm the boss. I hired him. You help him. Well, I didn't get a whole lot of help. And I just said, you know what? I always figured it out if you work hard. So I said, I went to a guy, one of the managers there, and I said, hey, what do I got to do to become successful with Mercedes-Benz? He said, learn the product better than anybody here. And he said, so you're going to be the go-to guy. They need an answer, they're going to come to you. I said, okay, I can do that. So I did that. And that was the first year. Wasn't selling a lot, but I made more money than I ever made in my life selling cars. Back then, it was over $70,000, and that was a lot of money back then.
That was a lot of money back then. You got to remember $70,000 a year. We used to brag. I'm like, I make $70,000 a year. I am successful. Now $70,000 a year is just above poverty nowadays, unfortunately. We're going to take a little bit of a break because I want to dive into the today and all the great things that you have. After we do come back, you definitely want to take some a keypad and a pen. And trust me when I tell you, please, if you are driving, do not touch your phone. Wait until you park, and then you can listen to the recording again and again and again. But we're about to learn about a whole lot of things that Mr. White is not only working on right now, but that we can learn from. So stick with us. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Hi, so my name is John White. I'm very excited about helping business owners create new activity, bring in the number one thing that they need for customers. And most business owners have no idea about social media and how it works. And not too long ago, I didn't have a clue myself. But I found that there's a big audience out there that just need to know who you are. And that's why I'm doing this commercial. I'm doing this to find the business owners that need the help promoting their business through social media and through some other AI tools to help them generate more business and have more income coming in with less work. You can visit my website, profitablemarketingllc.com, and get the information you need to get started.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Ali Mehdaoui in here with the ME Show, and I have John White in the building. Man, the stories that I'm hearing and I'm picking up, and I feel like we are lost brothers, cousins, whatever relatability you are identifying in here, because we have so many things in common. One of the things that I appreciate is the student that you have been throughout your whole career, whether it's listening to your stepdad, listening to your dad, listening to your uncle, listening to a mentor, listening to other individuals. You have that coachability that most people don't have, which speaks a lot about in order to be a great leader, you got to be a great student, and you definitely showcase that remarkably well. Let's talk about some of the things that you have going on right now. What is going on in John White's life from a professional perspective? I know you got some things that are cooking. Not sure how much you can share with us, but I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about some of the things and solutions.
As a salesman, working as a manager, working as a general manager, these career paths choices that I've made have all been a result of just working hard. I was hired to be a manager because I didn't like the way things were going in sales. So when they offered me the manager's job, I took it so I can fix things. What I thought was fixing things. Matter of fact, the first manager job that I took in the car business, the manager pulled me aside and he said, hey, what's your definition of being a manager? So I explained to him, I said, I think the best definition of a manager is you learning every part of the job better than anybody else. And then you teach them how to do it. And if they don't get it, don't yell at them, teach them again until they get it. And unless they say, hey, I got it, and they don't really want to learn, I'm going to keep teaching them so that they do the right thing. And so my first manager job as a car manager, these guys, I taught them in a way where they enjoyed it. I came to work and they greeted me like, "Hey, he's here!"
And here comes Santa Claus.
and I, my dear friend Richie, who was he very animated, and he's like, "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, Mr. John White," and I enjoyed coming to work every day, and so these different things, were basically because of the way I am. That if you do the right thing, you're still going to have obstacles. The customers are still going to complain. They're still going to, but if you have a problem, you fix it. And if you can't fix it the way they like it, say, "I apologize. If you show me how that you want me to fix this, if I can do it, I'll do it."
Mm-hmm.
So these things have all been accumulating over the years of working a lot of years, that I decided that I really need to help more business owners. Instead of just the one business I'm working in, I want to help more business owners get to their desired goals through technology. And technology today, most people are afraid of technology, it's going to take over the world. At the end of the day, AI is doing a pretty good job at mimicking things that we do, and it learns very quickly.
But would you agree with me? At one point, we didn't have the cell phones. At one point, we didn't have, even going back, fax machines. At one point, we didn't have computers. At one point, we didn't have internet. And there's just like generational, this cell phone thing is going to take over. This, computer thing is going to take, the touch screens are going to, I think there's this lack of appreciation of progression and evolving as human beings. And I understand, don't get me wrong. I hear a lot of, ChatGPT is going to take 800 million jobs out of the world. I think it's going to create 800 million entrepreneurs, people who never had the resources, the money, the time, the energy, or the brain. And then it's all created for you. So I really think we got to change our way of looking at it. Wouldn't you think? From stop living in that fear and start living in the faith that we are going to be okay. We are not where we were 10, 20 years ago. And I think we're going to evolve better with the right core values, of course. At least I think so. Maybe I'm delusional.
No, I think you're on the right track there, because most people, they don't understand that you have to adapt to things that are coming. And, the better that you adapt, some people say, "I'm too old to learn, this, or, the computer or the phone or whatever," like you just mentioned. And I love what you just said about the fact that it's not going to take away under 800,000 jobs. It's going to create $800,000 jobs. Every problem has a solution, and every solution has another problem. So it's evolving to the next step. And I think we're at a point, like you said, that teaching my experiences are different than yours, similar in some ways, but it's my filters that make them different. So the more that we can put ourselves out there and share what we believe in, and teach people the way we want to teach, there's going to be a group of people out there that are looking for you. So, what I'm trying to do is just find the business owners that have tried everything. They're just working their butts off to survive. And, you and I met through, some mutual people. You taught me the way with some of the social media stuff early on, and I'm still far from an expert in the basics of it. But the technology part is where I was always kind of geeky enough to say, "How does this work?" And I had to figure it out. My wife always tells me, "You know so much about computers. I can't understand how you," and because I just grind it out, like, "How does this work? What does it do? Talk to somebody. How do you do this? How does this work?" And even back to the car business, when after the first year, I met a guy who was one of the top guys, and he had a little computer in front of him. And I'm like, what are you doing? He says, "Well, this is how I manage my customers." And so I became friendly with him. I just, and he said, "I can create a copy for you." This was on MS-DOS. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
I'm young enough, but I'm definitely familiar with MS-DOS. Yeah, like when Microsoft just became the hot thing and Excel followed, and I get it.
Yeah. So he said, "I'll make you a copy." So I bought a little computer, and he put the software on there. And within the next year, I became one of the top salesmen.
Talk about an early version of a CRM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it was. It was a CRM to keep track of the customers. So we were doing better than the other guys because we had a better system. And so what you're saying is evolving. Systems have evolved. Way back then, the dealership recognized, and they did. Eventually, they got a CRM that would literally tell you, here's what you did today, here's what you missed, do it. And so the system did the work, kept you on track. And so a lot of business owners are so scattered that they're acting like ADD, like they're acting like a fireman, just putting out fires. Instead of working on the business, they're spending a lot of time working in the business, which is very ineffective if you're going to grow. Just being in a position of management, being in a position of sales, being in different aspects of business, and then helping business owners that I've been doing this for free for a long time.
It's time to get paid, right? No more nonprofits, John, please.
I decided that I want to do some things and make it affordable, but help business owners to be able to do more business and have less stress.
Do more business and have less stress. That sounds like a tagline ready to happen. A T-shirt that's really ready to be sold. And look, when are we anticipating this project to kind of come to market and come to life?
So basically, the project is ongoing, but the foundation is basically set. We're getting the websites all redone, and we're getting things in order to help people understand simply. They go to the website, profitablemarketingllc.com, and they'll be able to chat with my way that I'm going to automation,
system, if you will,
helping you to get to the answer you need. And if you need somebody live, you need our services, you're going to be able to jump right in.
And one thing that I love about kind of like the vision that you shared with me earlier is the business no longer depends or has to wait for you to be available. You could be asleep and somebody's in your computer and the interactions automatically lively and happening, which, trust me, we all want that sleep money, right? Like I want my money to be made while I'm asleep. Well, how do you do that? You leverage the technology and, of course, the system that you are going to be creating. Make sure that you check on the captions and the copy that is along with this episode, as we're going to have the website in it and any and all information, whether it's social media tools, information to connect with Mr. John White as well, which we're so super. I cannot wait until you meet with it. And I told you offline, and I'll tell you straight up in front of everybody, I can't wait for you to meet with our Chief Technology Officer. Hey, show us the goodies, right? Like if there's any ways that we can do better, become better, grow better, but at the same exact time, look, all of our audience, literally 100% of our audience is business owners. So, would love if there's truly a solution that can help the masses. Hey, how you doing? Let me get a little something out of the pot, right? Like I would love to make it available for our audience and our marketplace as well. Okay, let's talk to me about your vision for this project. What are you hoping / anticipating / projecting to do? And we don't have to talk about financials, but just from an impact perspective, what do you think this is going to do, or what impact is going to have on the marketplace?
Well, the average small business owner has 3 to 10 employees. And if the technology can help them to be more productive every day, then the impact is going to be not only for the employee, but for the business owner. So, I basically am envisioning, as I'm launching what this project is all about, of helping small business owners, to get to a capacity where then I will be able to hire somebody that's good at managing teams. And then eventually it'll spread, because it's all a matter of learning the system, managing the project. And then from there, as you mentioned, money comes naturally from hard work and doing the right thing. But my heart desire is to fund missionary projects. I can't be in Spain, or I can't be in Israel, or I can't be in Iran, or I can't be, like, our church is going to the Czech Republic. I can't be in all these places, but I can fund them. And so my heart's desire is to reach the world with the good news that, and you know, the good book says that he knows every hair on her head, even if you're losing some like me. So, I'm excited about helping this thing grow to help thousands of business owners across the nation over the next 5 years.
I love that, and I want to do my part. So for anyone that opts into your website or at least sets up just a consultation or an evaluation, excuse me, with your permission, I'd love to give a 2-night, 3-day all-inclusive vacation to Mexico. That is lodging, beverage, and food. It depends on the season. It's usually valued between $900 to about $1,800. Again, taxes and flights are excluded. However, your nightly stay, your food, and your beverage for 2 nights, 3 days, the best getaway. Hey, honey, let's get out of town on Friday and come back on Sunday night. You're going to enjoy it. You're going to love it. And it's a beautiful, beautiful getaway. And we cover Mexico or the Caribbean. So we're going to do that until you tell us to stop doing it to help out, just because you're doing it for the right reasons. And, I want to do my part to kind of, hopefully push the trajectory of this speed, if you will. So definitely make sure you click on that website that you're seeing in the caption with this episode. Make sure you visit this man as we are coming towards the end of this episode. Any final remarks, any words of wisdom, or any words of encouragement? I know there's a lot of confusing times for a lot of people. I know that, family core values and faith-based core values are making a comeback. I truly believe it. But what is your message to the world and to that one individual? And you got camera one right there. Talk to that one person who may have that feeling of, I'm in rock bottom, John. I don't have it in me to think anything positive right now. What is your message to that person?
Well, I would tell you that dust your feet off and lift yourself up and go at it again. You have what it takes to succeed. And, the end of the day, if you desire something great, then you have to put a little extra effort. Some people go to college. I shouldn't say some. A lot of people go to college and they don't end up in that career. They end up doing something different. I went to the University of Hard Knocks. So I've experienced a lot of different things to understand a little bit more about what it takes and what I have to do to be successful. But you have it in you. So just go for it and reach out to us, a phone call, or, we pick up our phone. If we're busy, we'll get right back to you, but we're going to serve people. And if you need help, you got people like Ali or myself we're looking to help people. That's the bottom line. So you got it in you, so go for it.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it right here in the ME Studios, in the ME Show. Make sure you hit that subscribe, follow button. Please do not touch your phone while you're driving. I can see you. Do you know that? I can see you. Stop doing that website, and definitely let them know, hey, Ali sent me. Hook me up. Make my business and my life a whole lot easier. Keep in mind that we are here to help you out. If you have a story, if you have a message, if you have a nonprofit or a for-profit organization, you want to get your word out there, make sure you visit us at themestudios.net. That is THEME studios.net. And we can help you out to get your message all the way out there. And for those who may say, well, I don't know if I can afford it. Yes, you can. We help people with as little as 90 cents a day. We have services as little as 90 cents a day. You heard that right. So make sure you visit us, themestudios.net. Ali Mehdaoui, huge shout out to our team behind the scene. Huge shout out to Tanya Tanika, our Chief Technology Officer. Huge shout out to Maritza Mehdaoui, our COO. Huge shout out to Sebastian Ali Mehdaoui, our Chief Chores Officer, and the little one, our CEO, that is our Chief Elevator Officer, Isabel Mehdaoui. We love you and appreciate you. Until next time, have a blessed day, everybody.
Hi, so my name is John White. I'm very excited about helping business owners create new activity, bring in the number one thing that they need for customers. And most business owners have no idea about social media and how it works. And not too long ago, I didn't have a clue myself. But I found that there's a big audience out there that just need to know who you are. And that's why I'm doing this commercial. I'm doing this to find the business owners that need the help promoting their business through social media and through some other AI tools to help them generate more business and have more income coming in with less work. You can visit my website, profitablemarketingllc.com, and get the information you need to get started.